Welcome to video number 3. In this video, we're going to look at what AIs can do out there in the real world. As you saw in the previous video, you can feed data into an AI and it finds its own meaning in data. It finds patterns. And that's basically what modern AIs are. They are pattern recognition machines. They're good at finding patterns in huge amounts of data. But they still don't know what these patterns actually mean. So here they need a little help from us human beings who can help them naming or classifying what these patterns mean. This is exactly what we did in the last video where the AI detected the hand signs and we told the AI what we human beings call these hand signs. So what can AIs do? They can do pattern recognition and classification. That's it. It doesn't sound like much, but it's actually these two things that are going to revolutionize our future. Because it turns out that pattern recognition and classification is everywhere in our daily lives and in our workplaces. So here are some examples. This example is from Denmark, where a Danish startup company named Cordi has fed thousands and thousands of 911 calls into an AI. And then the AI has detected the pattern for heart attack, which basically means that it can detect whenever people are calling in with a heart attack or whether they're not calling in with a heart attack. So they're classifying heart attack or not heart attack. If there is a heart attack, gives a little heads up to the dispatcher who can then call an ambulance immediately. So it's basically a pattern recognizing and classification mechanism that saves lives every day. We've already seen how AIs can detect patterns in images, and this ability, we're going to see that everywhere. And one of the most important places where we're going to see that is probably in the health sector, where AIs are going to do pattern recognition and classification of X-rays. So they're going to look at X-rays and they're going to find tumors or broken bones or whatever. And they're probably most likely going to be better than human beings at doing this in a few years. So look out for AIs in the health sector as well. So here's a funny story. A couple of years ago, some AI scientists fed a lot of images into an AI, and these images were paintings by Dutch painters. So basically what the AI was able to do was it was able to find the patterns for Dutch painters. So you could show it a painting of a Dutch painter and it would say this is a Dutch painter, and a Picasso, and it would be able to say, well, this is not a Dutch painter. So it could do pattern recognition and classification again. But then what these scientists did, they kind of turned the algorithm around and said, well, if you can detect the patterns, then maybe you can ask the algorithm also to create new patterns. And then, so they basically asked it to, well, you know what the pattern is for a Dutch painter, please make a painting that looks like a Dutch painter. And then it did it, it created this image or this painting, and it was actually sold at Sotheby's for $500,000 US. So you can save lives, but you can also create art if you can do pattern recognition and classification. We human beings are also pretty good at pattern recognition and classification, but only in limited areas. If someone gives me a huge Excel sheet with thousands or even millions of rows and columns, I'm totally lost. I'm totally unable to find any pattern in anything like this. But not so for AIs. You can basically feed them any kind of data in any kind of format, and they'll be able to find patterns in it. And that means that you can use AIs to find patterns in all kinds of data. And this example is what's called predictive policing, where police forces around the world are trying to use AIs to feed crime data into AIs, and then the AIs are actually able to find the patterns. So it basically means where are crimes occurring, and even more interesting, where are crimes going to happen in the future. This is very interesting, but there's of course also a lot of ethical concerns around this. But if you can do pattern recognition, you can maybe also predict crime. The interesting thing about patterns is that they have a tendency to repeat themselves. So if you know a pattern in the past, you know that this pattern is also probably going to be there sometime in the future. And this is the basis for using AIs to predict the future. Take, for example, Netflix. I'm watching movies on Netflix, and the AIs of Netflix are trying to find the patterns in my movie behavior. And if they are able to find a pattern, they know, well, if this guy likes action movies yesterday, he's probably going to like action movies tomorrow as well. So when the new Schwarzenegger movie comes out, they will recommend this movie for me. And this is basically how AIs are able to predict the future. They simply just find patterns in the past, and then they kind of project them into the future and use that to predict what's going to happen in the future. We human beings live in a world of patterns and repetition. Whenever I drive my car, it tends to be the same things that I'm doing again and again and again. Or when I walk the street, it's kind of the same thing that is repeating itself. And that basically means that very soon we're going to see robots or autonomous cars or whatever that are intelligent because of artificial intelligence, that can actually navigate and move around the world, drive cars, even go to war on behalf of human beings, simply because they're able to find the patterns, detect the patterns, navigate in the world, and act autonomously. So here's the first clue to understanding the impact of AI in the future. You should look out for three things: data, pattern recognition, and classification. Is there data? Are there patterns in data? And can it be classified? Well, then it's probably going to be done by an AI. And that concludes video number 3. Now for the exercises.
Wow, amazing how many things we machines can do. But now it's your turn to do something. I want you to find at least 3 examples of AI in action. For each of these examples, I want you to think about how they built the AI. Where did the data come from? What kinds of patterns is the AI looking for? And how did they do the classification? And that concludes video number 3. See you in the next video.